Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning. I don't know about where you are, where I am in New York. We woke up with snow on the ground this morning. I was like, what is going on? It's supposed to be a nice warm winter, but we got snow on the ground, but that's okay. All right. Sport my Flip Hacking Live hat this morning. It's Bill Allen's event from Seven Figure Flipping. What real estate events are you going to go to in 2021? We're still trying to kind of lay those out to figure out which ones we're going to go to and which ones we aren't going to go to. We're trying to kind of set up a live schedule where we're pretty consistent with it. And I'm supposed to do a live video all by myself on Monday, and I missed yesterday. So this is my Monday or my Tuesday morning makeup video. And we're going to talk about follow-up, right? Everyone understands the key is the follow-up. The money's made in the follow-up. On Wednesday in our mastermind group, we're really going to dig into the follow-up. So when I was doing cardio this morning, made me think about follow-up, and I said, hey, let's go ahead and make that the video today, okay? And I'm going to talk about 4 different levels of follow-up, all right? And we're going to call those level A, B, C, and D. A being, hey, if you're an A player, B player, C player, D player. We look at it like if you're a D player, you're getting fired. If you're a C player, you're allowed to be on the team, but you're going to need a lot of training to stay on the team. B player, you're changing the organization. You're rock solid. And A player is the best of the best. You're going to have a long impact on our team, okay? So what is a D player? How do most people follow up? Most people don't, right? Let's say someone is listening to these live videos. They're going to YouTube University. They get a list of motivated sellers. Let's say they get a list of 500 motivated sellers, and they're all excited to get started. They text them or they call them or they do something with them, and then they don't do anything after that. That is what I would call a D player, and you would get fired from our team, okay? But that's how most people follow up, is they just don't do it. They have good intentions, but somehow they get overwhelmed by the process or what exactly it looks like, and they don't follow up at all. So don't be a D player. Don't be the person that lacks any follow-up. You can't do that if you want to be successful. What about a C player? How can you be a C player? What is the next level of follow-up? Okay, to me, the next level of follow-up is, let's say you've got those 500 leads. Let's say you're texting. Okay, we love text in our business. We promote it a lot. So let's say you're texting. You text those 500 people. Okay, and then at an interval later, let's call it 2 weeks. 2 weeks later, you text all 500 people again, and then 2 weeks after that, you text all 500 people again. That's a follow-up. It's not a very smart follow-up. It's not a very efficient follow-up, but that is a follow-up. So if you want to be a C player, a minimum to really call yourself a salesperson, okay, a professional salesperson, you need to make sure you follow up at a given interval. Let's call that 2 weeks. So you text everyone or you cold call everyone, and then 2 weeks later, you're going to do it again. 2 weeks later, you're going to do it again, and you're going to continue following up like that. So if that's a D player, is not following up at all. A C player is following up every 2 weeks. What is a B player? How can you improve your game and be a B player when it comes to follow-up, okay? Well, let's take that same list of 500, okay? What you're going to do is when you call that list of 500 or when you text that list of 500, you're going to make sure you put each of those people into a specific bucket, okay? And you can name these buckets however you want, but this is how I would look at it, okay? Number one, I would have one bucket be wrong number, okay? If it's a wrong number, like, hey, that number's no good, you never have to follow up with that phone number, okay? Number two is do not call. This is someone that they may own the house, they may not own the house, but they were extremely rude to you. They told you never to call them again, so we're going to put them on do not call, okay? So you got wrong number, do not call, and then we've got 3 different layers, okay, or 3 different buckets. We call it hot, warm, and cold. And depending on how you define hot, warm, and cold, that will determine the interval in which you're going to follow up with these people, okay? Maybe if someone's a hot lead, you're going to call them back same day, or within 24 hours, you're going to track this person down and get them on the phone. If it's a warm lead, you want to make sure that you talk to them within 48 hours, within 72 hours, okay? You want to make sure you contact them right away. Okay. And then maybe if it's a cold lead, they're like, hey, I'm not interested today, but call me back in a month. Maybe that cold lead, you figure out some different sequence that's going to be like, hey, I'm going to call this person back in 2 weeks or in a month or some longer time frame. Okay. But to me, looking at a B level in follow-up, it is, hey, instead of just following up at a random interval or at a consistent interval, I'm going to figure out which bucket do all these leads go into. And then I'm going to make sure I start filling up my calendar that says, hey, these hot leads, I'm going to follow up with right away. These warm leads, priority, but not as much of a priority as my hot leads. And then my cold leads, I'm going to say, hey, we're going to follow up with them every 2 weeks. One interesting tip with the cold lead is a lot of people will say, hey, call me in 60 days, call me in 90 days. Okay. I had a mentor once that said, hey, everyone has a life-changing event every 90 days. So that means we're going to contact them every 45, right? Whatever they tell you, we have a tendency to just cut it in half, right? If they say, hey, call me in a month, all right, roger that. We'll call them back in 15 days so we can be the first of the punch. Okay. But if that's D, C, B, and A, what is an A player? What is the pinnacle of follow-up in 2021? Okay. All it does is it takes our B level of putting these people in buckets and it adds a couple things to it, right? What does it add to it? First, it adds a drip campaign. And what a drip campaign is something that happens automatically and just follows up with them automatically with something like a drip, right? And it could be a text message, it could be an email, it could be a ringless voicemail, it could be a phone call. Ideally, it's all those things. Okay, so if someone's a warm lead, we want to put them on a warm drip sequence, and then they will get, maybe every other day they'll get a text message, and then they'll get an email, and then they'll get a ringless voicemail, and then we'll schedule someone to call them. Okay, and we'll try to automate as much of that as possible. Right. So as we scrub our leads, if we start out with 500 leads, we're going to work that list and we're going to make sure every one of those leads gets put in the correct bucket, the wrong number, the do not call, hot, warm, cold. And once they're in that bucket, we're going to make sure we have an automated drip. So they're getting automatic emails, automatic text message, automatic ringless voicemails. And then we're going to make sure we have cold callers calling them at a given sequence so they never fall off. Okay, so once someone gets in our funnel, whether they're warm, cold, or hot, we're going to make sure we keep following up with them and keep following up with them and keep following up with them until they sell the house or they tell us, don't ever contact me again. All right, so that is how I look at the different levels of follow-up. Number one, you got to make sure you do it. You got to make sure you do it. Okay, next level is, hey, try to add some type of science to it if you can, where it's like, hey, we're going to have warm, cold, and hot. We're going to put them in different buckets, and depending on what bucket they are, will determine how often we contact them. Then if you want to get to the pinnacle, if you want to get to the top of the game, you got to try to figure out a way to automate all that. Okay, if you can automate it all, it's going to happen, and it's going to happen better. Okay, if you like this video, please help me out and smash that like button. Give me a thumbs up. Let me know what I missed. Right, everyone's like, hey, every YouTuber, everyone on Facebook says hit that like button, but when you do, a lot more people see it. So please hit that like button. Help us out. If you want to hear more about our mastermind, go to graylineinvestments.com. Shoot us an email. And finally figured out the bottom scroll here. Right? If you want to get on our buyers list, that's the way you stay informed. Okay. If you want to get on our buyers list, go to graylineinvestments.com and get on our buyers list. Thank you so much. I hope you have a wonderful week and make sure you follow up with all those leads and close some deals in 2021.